Hello, Money Queens and listeners. Welcome to Women Behind the Millions. Let's meet the women behind the millionaires, the women supporting, guiding, celebrating women with their wealth. You will hear from women millionaires, how they got there, what they wish they had known, what got them to be a millionaire, the emotional side, the spiritual side, the practical side of wealth. You'll also get to meet the women behind the scenes helping make it happen. Let's dive into Women Behind the Millions. I am Jessica Weaver, your host, best-selling author of 3 books, wealth advisor, and founder of the Women's Wealth Boutique. Let's start meeting the women. Hello, Money Queens. Welcome back to another episode. We are in our financial trendsetters era here with our show featuring all of these incredible women from our newest trendsetters, but now available on Amazon. It is a bestseller. All book proceeds go towards our scholarship fund. So keep funding it. Let's get the next generation of women into the industry. Tonight, we are joined with a woman whose work is rooted not just in strategy, but also in lived experience. And she is very vulnerable in her chapter in the new book. And I'm very excited to have her here with us tonight. You'll also see on your screen a QR code that you can scan and jump on our email list so you do not miss another episode of Women Behind the Millions. But we also give you a free gift that allows you to start thinking about your own bestseller and really building a platform and stepping into thought leadership, how to build out that community, the strategic partners, the whole journey. Well, tonight we have with us Colleen Goodwillie. Her passion is creating retirement income plans that help clients optimize the entire range of retirement vehicles, including Social Security, benefits, pensions, tax planning. She's been in the insurance and financial industry since 2010. So let's welcome to the stage, Colleen. Hello, Colleen. How are you tonight?
Hi, thanks for having me.
It's such a pleasure. Thank you for being a part of our Financial Trendsetters mission. Not just the book, but being out there, mentoring women, getting the next wave of women into the financial industry as well. What has it been like stepping into this trendsetter role, writing the chapter, and getting your story out there?
Yeah, I thought it was very, kind of eye-opening. And I don't know, like you had always said, like just kind of think of your story as, everyone has a different story on how they got into the financial services industry. And sometimes I feel like I just kind of landed in it by the time like I graduated college. And I always look back and the insurance industry was like the only area that was hiring at the time too, So yeah, it was a very interesting, like how that career path, has transpired over that period of time. So
yeah, I saw a lot of me. I also entered in 2010. So I saw a lot of commonalities where there are stories. You play basketball in college. I play basketball in college. She's like, look at this.
Yes.
Different states.
Yes.
Would have been best friends.
Yes.
For you. So you graduated and we were just coming off of the financial crisis.
Yes.
Looking back to that time, that era, a lot of places were not hiring. What was your first job out of college?
Yeah, I worked, for a bigger insurance firm and just kind of really transitioned, I guess, I got like my life and health insurance license and was just kind of like selling life insurance. And I don't know. I just didn't feel like I was really helping people at the time. So that's like when
felt more transactional.
And so that's like when I really had at BA Schrock Financial Group, the firm I'm at now, I had talked to Ben and his wife Caitlin. I actually played college basketball with, so I had known them for years, and we had just started chatting about the benefits of being an independent advisor. And he had just gone out and opened his own firm and was only like maybe a year or two in. And then I'm like, sure. I'm like, I just, was like, let's do it. I cashed out my 401k, which we tell everyone not to do. Right. And then, kind of use that to live off of, while you start a commission and fee-based only, when you enter that commission and fee-based only world on that side.
Yes. When we talk about not spending it, but that's where that cushion comes from. And I remember hearing my husband does bear protein and he has grown tremendously. Huge warehouse, bringing in multiple seven figures of revenue. And
Yeah.
he talks about he had 12,000 in his Roth IRA that he took out multiple times
Yes.
when he needed it. Well, it's like, what's the best investment? You.
Yeah. Yep. Yourself.
You are the best investment. You too. So thank you for sharing that and letting women know like this happens, and we need to be able to bet on ourselves.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think that's probably the number one, I don't know, thing that I see even with my clients that come through today. Sometimes they're scared to make that bet on themselves on that side.
You're right. I remember sitting down with a woman, and they were in debt. They had some assets, and I said, "This is what we're going to do. We're going to create a plan. We're going to clean it up." And she started sobbing. And I said, "What's wrong?" She goes, "I don't trust myself enough to implement this." Even though she was going to pay for the plan, she didn't trust herself to execute it. And my heart broke because they struggle with betting on themselves. How do you help women in those situations, Colleen?
Yeah, I would say for me, like the big thing is like I've had plenty, come through my office at this point in time. It's more of the hand holding, right? Like you're like, I understand, like we've all been through maybe a similar situation or know someone that has been. And right now we're going to find a way to either get you out of that situation, right? Or what are things we can do today to better your situation, not only, in the next year, but 5 to 10 years down the road. On that side.
Yes. Yeah. Walking them through it, sharing, and you were vulnerable in your own chapter. You talk about even your mom's own divorce.
Yes. Yep.
And the lack of plan. Take us back into that time. And how old were you when this was happening?
Yeah. I was like, gosh, I had to be 18 or 19 at the time. So it was like a freshman or sophomore in college, right? Not really paying attention, to what was what was happening at that
scary moment. You just left home.
Yes.
And your home, your rock, it's different.
Yes. And so then I was like, looking back, I kind of wish that she had maybe sat down with someone and, because people get asset splits and those types of things, but she just didn't have, that advice or someone to say like, hey, if you do X, Y, Z, here's what it looks like for you. Right. And that's really what kind of then propelled me into the industry, really in the first place. I always had like an idea, but I had no idea, at the beginning when you're just selling life insurance feels more transactional, and then making the jump to an independent firm really, really helped remove that, really just kind of build that relationship with that person in front of you. And I would say that that's really how that propelled on that side for me.
Sure. Sure. I'm sure you would, if you could go back and help out your mom. Do you focus helping women through divorce? Is that what?
Yeah. I have quite a few, I would say. I just kind of naturally fell into that realm, just like with people that I've met, through the years, whether it's networking and things like that. But I would say, I deal with that and I have a lot of single females. I also have a lot of widow and widowers too that I usually end up meeting with, that for the first time, they might be managing the finances or they don't know what's going on that side. So definitely help transition them to a new way of life or during that difficult time. Yeah.
That's true. Knowledge is powerful. You have this great quote: "Everything I've gone through in life has changed and shaped how I work with my clients today." How has your personal life impacted your professional life in a positive way and being able to relate to these people?
Yeah, absolutely. I would say, as as a practicing advisor, you see a lot of people that come in and typically it can be very vulnerable, right? Like they're sitting in front of you with their financial statements, which is typically not talked about right at the dinner table. You're not supposed to, talk about finances. When you're out with your friends, at least for females, we're not sometimes, but it's really just trying to look at that and say like, how can we help them going forward too, in that piece. So yeah, it's just been a little bit of a crazy time with some of those things. Yeah.
Of course. Well, I want to do a quick sneak peek at Financial Trendsetters 3. Let's take a look at the new book. What if money wasn't separate from who you are, but an extension of how you live? Financial Trendsetters 3 brings together powerful women from across the financial industry who are redefining leadership, wealth, and legacy on their own terms. Led by Nora Gillis, this book features the voices of Amber Bentley, Sarah Elia, Tanya Cleaver, Vicky Beam, April Crew, Karen Santini Clemens, Sarah Branston, Kimberly Garcette, Leah West, Colleen Goodwillie, Amy Frank Goldman, and Jessica Weaver. Women who are integrating money into the full picture of life, not treating it as something separate or intimidating. These stories are honest, they're human, and they reflect what's possible when women lead with authenticity, value, and purpose. Even more meaningful, proceeds from this book help fund a scholarship for a woman entering a career in finance, supporting the next generation of leaders in our industry. Financial Trendsetters 3 is more than a book, it's a movement, and it's here. All right, we are back with Colleen, one of our co-authors of Financial Trendsetters 3. We're talking about how her personal life has impacted her professional life in a positive way and how those lived experiences have changed her approach to helping people with managing their money, creating a financial plan. I want to piggyback on that with one more thing before we pivot into something you're really passionate about, having a written plan, is playing basketball in college. I'm curious how that has helped you become a better advisor. I love talking with athletes because there's just such a different discipline and resiliency ingrained in them. So I'd love to hear your take on it.
Yeah, I would say, like with any industry, right? You get knocked down a couple times, right? You get rejection. Yeah. Like someone doesn't want to do business with you on that side or, and that's like where we start to feel, like I guess you would say, down in the dumps, but at the same time, you gotta go back out and, you still got to meet with people because, for every no that you might hear at the same time, there's probably 4 or 5 yeses, right? On that side. So that's the way that I always have to reframe it in my head because I am a naturally competitive person. So like with myself, I'm like, and we can probably be our worst critic on that side. So that's probably where I feel like I feel like I could, it's very hard for me sometimes to turn that off and I need to. Yeah.
You're right. Yes. That need to perform.
Yes.
And being so high achieving. And if I'm not out there doing and practicing and going, same thing with work where I'm going to be letting somebody down. Like, where's that coach?
Yes.
I'm going to be letting run at work.
Yes.
That's not doing.
Yes, exactly. So, I think it definitely helps, especially in the financial services industry, because there aren't a lot of females in it. And maybe it is because you do get a lot of, you do hear a lot of no's at the beginning, right? I started with 0 clients right on that side when I first started, which was also scary. And then tried, cold calling, every marketing tactic that was in the book. So just to gain clients. And now we're more of a referral based business, which I absolutely love because I love receiving referrals on that side.
Yeah. It's beautiful when you can get referrals just because you're doing really good work.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
And they're going to refer people that are like them. Forward to. And it's true, being an independent financial advisor, there's nobody that is overseeing you, managing you, and micromanaging you. So coming from a place where you have that already ingrained in you and really help push you when you might not want to get off of the couch. Let's be honest. I want to go home and watch Bravo.
Yes, exactly.
But need to push through. And what you love, what you're really passionate about is helping people create a written plan. What is the importance? Why is a financial plan so important in your mind, in your eyes?
Yeah, I would say because it's always something we can go back to, right? So it's removing the emotion from your money. And it's something that we're going to look at and say, if I do X, Y, Z, what is this, not only what does this look like for me, but does it help me achieve my goals, right? So it puts almost pen to paper. Like we can have these visions, right? But we don't know how we're going to get there. And that's where I think that it really helps on that.
Yes, sure. What happens when people don't have a plan?
Yeah. And I would say a lot of people that come in do not initially when they meet with us. Yeah.
Oh, then they don't really do anything with it.
Yes. Yeah.
It's
And
like dust.
yes. So really, that's really where we have a firm even have started. We just kind of start with that plan. And then we say that plan, will dictate, what do your investments need to be doing for you, right? Like, do you need specific strategies or do you not? And that's really where I feel like it helps you adhere to fiduciary duties and things like that along the way, to make sure that you're doing what's best for your client at all time as well.
Sure. Where do you see some of the biggest gaps in, let's say, retirement planning? We'll focus on there. Where do you see some of the biggest gaps or mistakes people are making?
Yeah, I would say not looking at tax planning. I see that as a huge gap right now. A lot of people will come in and, they won't realize that, some of their Social Security could be taxable, or all of it's being looked at 85% of it's being viewed as taxable income. Are they going to have a required minimum distribution problem at, 75 or 73 on that side? Are they going to be jumping tax brackets? Or they have to pay more for Medicare? Like all those things no one's really thought about, right? They've just been told to save, save, save. And then they come in our office and we're like, well, these are all things we need to start thinking about, right? On that side. So, should I do a Roth conversion? Those are a lot of things that we typically will discuss with a client, and that financial plan also tells us, do we need to be doing those specific strategies on that side?
Sure. So underestimating the impact of taxes on that retirement plan. There is this myth that I'll pay lower taxes in retirement.
Yes.
And so many people bought into this, advisors included.
Yes.
And then all of a sudden we're looking like, that is not true.
It's not true. Yeah.
There is a tax time bomb waiting to happen, especially with the baby boomers and the inheritance that's coming, the $124 trillion that's about to get passed on as well. So that being a huge missing piece, even if they have a financial plan, they might not be looking at that.
Exactly. Yeah. So I would say that's probably our biggest gap that we're seeing right now.
The biggest gap.
Yeah.
Amazing. All right. So you're talking about having a written plan, getting one in place before you do anything. People have that foundation and where all these different pieces from estate planning, tax planning, retirement, all of that come into place. How about you have children? What was it like for you wanting to build your business while also having a young family, which growing up, we did not have a lot of role models to look at for that. I'm curious what your experience was like.
Yeah, it was kind of a struggle for me, like to find like a balance, right? Between being a mom and then also, trying to grow your book of business. And, some days I was doing really good. And then other days it would be like, you get a phone call that your kid's sick. So then you have to leave, you have to move all your appointments around and, but you just adapt. So I think like now I finally have a better system for that. And I feel good like where I'm at, but definitely at the beginning, there's not really anyone that I could go to and talk to and be like, hey, like I can't like juggle this all, or I'm struggling with that. And so I really just had to put like more parameters around my time, more time management. And I think like that helped me a lot on that.
You're right. There's no blueprint for us to just say, oh, this is how we do it.
Yes.
And this is what I can be expecting to work. And being in such a male-dominated industry, how men were growing their books, being out at dinners, evenings, weekends. I know that's how my father and brother, I can't do that.
Yeah.
My husband works night shifts. This is going to be... And then you feel like you're failing on both sides. I'm not doing enough at work. I'm missing things at home. How did you overcome that mom guilt?
Yeah. I mean, like to me, it's been more of, I guess, like my boys do see, like they're like, oh, like mom's at work, or they're like they'll stop by, like like my nanny brought them by the office today, like to see me for a second. So it was just kind of, it's nice sometimes to see them. Midday, even if they stop in for a little bit. But, and like now my oldest, he likes to, we bought like a couple stocks for him and he likes to like track them. So he's starting to like, just kind of like get involved, and he likes to, he's asking me questions and things like that. So it's kind of fun. And now like they think like I do cool things as opposed to whatever they thought previously.
That you're just gone.
Yeah.
It's gone.
Yeah.
My daughter used to say that I just gave people money. I'm like, okay.
Yes, that's fine.
Give people money. That's beautiful that you're able to find those little moments throughout the day.
Mhm.
I remember one mom, she was an advisor. She worked with her mother who retired at 86.
Yeah.
Probably if you could believe it. And she gave me that piece of advice of going to the park isn't just going to the park. It's a mommy daughter date to the park with ice cream. Like you just make these little moments feel so big in their eyes that they really cherish it. It's not this quick check-in, but you really are taking the time, one, to be present as a mom, but to make them feel really special that you're doing these things together.
Yeah, absolutely.
So thank you for sharing that. I know it is hard and we've had to find kind of our own way, but hopefully we're paving the path forward for other young moms and finding a more balanced way to, yes, have a thriving business and career and growing, while also still feeling like they can be the moms that they want to be able to be.
Absolutely.
With their families as well. Let's see here. How about emotional mental loads? It is a lot being an advisor. We're hearing people's problems. We're giving them our full attention. At the end of the day, how do you re-gear to being that mom coming home and taking care of your own emotional stability? Colleen, you seem like a very regulated,
yes,
calm person. Yeah. Is that just your personality or have you learned some tools and tricks along the way?
I would say some tools and tricks. Like sometimes, I only live a mile from my office, so you don't get very much time to decompress. So sometimes I'll just sit in the car for a couple minutes and before I go in to the chaos, because my boys are only, 8 and 5 right now. So it's like, they're still running. Like as soon as you open the door, someone's running,
Your boys.
Yes. Yes. Typically trying to climb something. So it's like, yeah, so it's just, you just have to, I don't know, I just kind of transition now. It's like I have my one hat here, right? And then I have like my hat that I wear at home. And you just kind of have to make that time sometimes. And for me, it's just sitting in the car for even a couple of minutes.
Yeah, the same way.
Yeah.
That's great. Right. It's nice being a while away from home.
Yeah.
But on the same note, to your point, having that space to just bring it back down and let yourself decompress, compose yourself for the next full-time job.
Yes.
What I love too, because you have boys and similar ages to my kids, but they're seeing what it's like to have a working mom and what they're going to be looking for in a future spouse. Right. And how to support it and that you're able to do both, which is really important.
Yes, absolutely. I agree with that.
Amazing. How about one more question before we dive into the last one? This time has flown with you, Colleen. What are some lessons that you have learned or things that you teach your clients that are just not being taught? We talked about the tax piece of it. Are there any other nuggets that you could share with us?
Yeah, I'm trying to think like lessons that, for our clients, I kind of had this conversation with a couple clients actually this past week. And it was more of, hey, we're going to have like this surplus money. We need to start thinking of, do we want to start gifting, right? Do we want to spend more? Or do we want to do, more Roth conversions down the road? And so the one lady, she made me laugh, but she was like, we should make a t-shirt that says, do we spend it? She goes, I either need to spend it, gift it, or convert it. And I was like, yeah. And I was like, but those are kind of like some conversations that have been fun to have. I would say that, typically people think when they go to meet a financial advisor, they're like, what's the best way to save my money? Right. Mm-hmm. And then I think like the fun part is figuring out ways, if they are to be in that situation, what's the best way for us to spend it? Right. What do you value? What do you want to do on that side? And sometimes, it's hard for them to kind of flip that switch, right, to that more of that spending mode if they've been in that saving mode for a period of time. So I would say, how do we help them transition and learning to help transition your clients to more of that, I don't want to say extravagant spending mentality, but, Like, hey, you can actually enjoy, do a little bit more. You don't need to be, skipping out on Starbucks, once a week because you want to go on vacation. You can afford both, right?
Yes. Yeah, you can enjoy it. I remember my father saying once, it's, the one generation lives on, canned peas so that the next generation can take first class flights anywhere they want to go.
Yes.
You can enjoy your money, and you're right. We're so ingrained in I need to save money. Now, educating them, they can enjoy it. They can spend to a limit.
Yes.
But they can enjoy it and have a big impact. They're donating it to the next generation or, using it right now to live off of. What a beautiful way to wrap up our time together. Colleen, we have one more question for you. Are you ready for it?
Yep.
What makes you a woman behind the millions?
What makes you a woman behind the millions?
I would say, don't be afraid to take that chance on yourself, right? Always bet on yourself. Because at the end of the day, you don't want to look back and regret, like, I didn't do X, Y, Z. You want to say, like, if that's what I wanted to do, I at least tried it, right? On that side. And I think that's what I would recommend.
So no regrets, liquidating your 401k on yourself, Colleen.
Yep.
And that is exactly what makes you a woman behind the millions. Beautiful. Thank you so much for being on tonight. Thank you for being part of our newest trendsetter book in the series and being a pillar of strength for women in the industry. It's just incredible to see.
Awesome. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. And thank you, ladies, for tuning in. We'll see you next week on another episode of Women Behind the Millions, featuring another incredible woman sharing her story from financial trendsetters. We'll see you next week. Bye, ladies.
Hey, money queens, looking to get your wealth to that next level, 7, 8, 9 figures? Follow us on Instagram at PinkFixMyMoney and at Women's Wealth Boutique for more millionaire money tips.